All right, welcome everybody to the December 13th Budget Committee meeting. I want to call the meeting to order and start with introductions.
Tim Gabriel.
John Moran.
Michael Keister.
Mishka Haddock.
Ben Bartlett.
Carol Martin. Lee Lederer.
All right, thank you. The meeting today is basically going to be a committee discussion with regards to the town budget that we received last week, and review any questions, comments, concerns, so on and so forth that anyone has. So, I think I've got all my papers lined up properly here. Yes. Do we want to just go page by page like we did with the school budget? And quickly review, or you didn't bring your pages? Didn't want me to bind?
It's the school board.
I used the I will share.
I have one. I have an extra.
Do you have an extra one?
Yeah.
No, okay. Actually, I might have.
Thank you.
All right. So on page 1, there was did anybody have any questions with regards to any of the items on page 1? No questions? Okay. On page 2. So I'm looking at line 59 and 60, the deduction of training and support. I'm looking at the wrong one. I gotta get a piece of paper. Oh yeah, Chris had mentioned something about that, and I never managed to jot down notes as to why that was removed.
It was, I think, from what I recall, it was moved to the line. 59 was moved to 60.
I had just jotted
So
down
it's-
that 59 was mostly software. That's what I wrote.
I think software you see below.
So it's completely renamed and everything, so it's software licensing and not training and support?
Yeah, I think from what I remember, that's what he had said.
I think they didn't used to have software licensing under each department. It was just
Right.
like a catch-all, like the telephone issue. And so they created 60 as a new line, and they previously had stuck the software license under 59, which is not really where it should be. 'Cause they had nowhere else to
Okay.
put it,
So,
I think. It probably should
because
been
we have a
under
line for
government.
training and support, for election department, we have support for town clerk. All right, so it's just a new numbering, I guess, for those funds.
Well, to that point, does that mean they're abandoning the training and support line? Or deciding that we'll stay open even if they don't allocate $1 to it, or?
Right.
What's the thinking there? Do you know?
Nope, not on that one. But
Maybe they don't have to allocate $1 to it the way the
Because-
school district does. I don't know. It may be the difference between SB2 and town meeting.
It may not be required by this software.
I don't think there was any training support in that. It's always been just software. It never had, like, I think the training and support you're thinking of as far as going to a conference and things like that. I don't think in this, from what I remember
Well-
saying, it's always just been software as an expense.
Well, that's because we always had the same tax collector for forever.
So, because I do see, I mean, there's, under assessing department, there's, is that where I just saw it? Software licensing, but that again is it's a line,
new
but there's
line.
no numbers.
Yeah.
There's no data, no nothing in it.
But I think on the question of the $1, they may not need to do that for the
Yeah.
town budget.
So,
Not all the way.
and Dawn recommended that, because she's not here, that if we do have a question, that we state it as a question so that she can pull it out when she's reviewing it later. So, question to be addressed, 59 and line 59 and 60 on page 2, regarding training and support versus software licensing, where that $7,700 went, and the addition of the $7,800 for software licensing. Just a better explanation, and whether or not there should be $1 left on the line item for line 59 in order to keep that line open for future needs.
Or for that matter, if there was a need at town meeting to fund a project that involved that line.
Alright. Any other questions on page 2?
Under the planning board, or planner, line 98, I know it says, proposed budget 20,000.
You're on page 3, okay.
Oh, I'm sorry, I'm on page 3,
Sorry.
sorry, I'm just,
Yep. Line 98,
My
planning
bad.
board planner, yep.
and then how it goes down, if you look at line 108, they have 20,000 down there. So are we spending $40,000 on a planner and the master plan?
Part-time position or contract combined with line 108, which master plan and zoning ordinance updates.
From what I remember, he had
Yeah.
said that they haven't had somebody in that role full-time and they need somebody. So you can see that his history of the part-time position, the planning board planner, they haven't had somebody there. So it's the $15,000 didn't get expended in 2018 because they don't have somebody in that role. And he said they need somebody full-time, which is why they combined those two to pay a full-time person for that position.
I think 98 says it's supposed to be a part-time position or contract.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Not a full-time.
Because I was around when they did them, I was on the planning board when we did the master plan.
So
And what,
how long ago would that have been?
was that 5 years ago or 6 years? Time flies, trying
yeah,
to,
it's been a couple of
Dates
years,
of
I
how
mean, it's
many,
been a few years.
yeah, it could actually be maybe even 8 now. So, I mean, again, I was just curious because I know we had I think his name was Jack Meddy, and he was doing the, assisting with the master plan and doing stuff like that. It was a part-time role. So I could understand, paying that part-time 20,000. I just don't understand if we're adding these up, if we get to, another 20,000 on this budget, it means it's 40,000.
So,
So is that's, I don't know if that's a lot I mean, it sounds like a lot of money to be spending on
well,
a planner that's gonna be majorly used to,
unless, is this is line 108 because they're gonna redo all the town maps?
Except for the GIS system.
Yeah, I think the question to clarify, is it gonna become a part-time, or a full-time position when you combine the two lines, or not? would be what to ask.
Because I read master plan, you know, town map is, the master plan is, you know, the future of what we're gonna do, not as like a map, like a physical, you know,
Right.
how high is the mountain or whatever, but as a road map towards where we're going.
Sure, yeah, so it's a.
So that's
it's more
why I
of a
question that
right,
we're-
Spreadsheet.
Right, and wouldn't that fall under the same guy, the planner, who's helping build that master plan?
I recall some discussion about the GIS system that they were planning to incorporate into the master plan.
Wasn't that,
You've got it somewhere else.
yeah, this is the, software licensing, line 11 on page 1 shows executive department
yeah.
total, there was a $4,800 addition for
Oh, there is
Argus.
Yeah,
the-
and that's the mapping system.
ArcGIS, yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and why wouldn't that be, I don't know what all it does, do you know, Ben? But why wouldn't that be in the planning board department versus the executive department?
I wish I had an answer for you. I don't have one.
All right,
I'll get one.
so, John, you want to phrase your question regarding lines 98 and 108?
What is the $20,000 being spent on line 108 for? If line 98 is for the planner to help build the master plan? Does that sound clear enough?
Yep.
This November 16th, but printed on 12/6. You have a different version.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I didn't see 20,000.
All right, were there any other questions on page 3? All right, page 4. And Ben, you might be able to answer this. Line 125, the recycling building maintenance, the bathroom update, was this like, sort of like a unplanned? I mean,
Well,
this just popped up, or was it?
Well, if anybody, and I welcome anybody to go over there and check it out, that bathroom is nasty.
Yeah,
So, I think the board had agreed at that time that it'd be best to remodel it, update it, because it's being used as a partial storage as well. And like I said, if you went in there, you probably wouldn't want to go in there. So they felt, to help, employee health and all that stuff, that it was best to remodel it.
And isn't it
Okay.
technically public as well? People can use it,
Yeah,
so you wanna
yeah.
be somewhat decent,
I mean,
right? No offense to the,
The
yeah.
rest of the building isn't that much better, but, yeah.
all right. And then I think the comment with regards to 2018 budget being $4,000 and we overexpended it by $3,400, that was due to the trailer doors, is that?
Yes, I have replaced
Okay.
doors on storage.
Because it would be nice to see that line item go back down to 2016 rates. It's half the expense.
Yeah.
I guess on 128, I would be concerned about whether that's a realistic estimate for the kitchen, and is it something that?
I question that too, but I mean, if they going to remodel, I mean, are they gonna do the floors too and do a complete remodel, or is it just a Band-Aid?
I think you said
I don't-
cabinets and appliances, but even for that, I
Yeah, I think that's,
Yeah, I mean, my understanding was that they're gonna redo that whole room, okay? It's not just gonna be the kitchen portion of that room, because, I mean, it's
I
a
don't
big
know that they would
room.
do the floors, though, because the floors are similar to these floors.
yeah, I don't know, are they getting into, I mean, I don't know, how old this building's, what, pretty old, right? So chances are it's probably asbestos underneath there. So there have to be an abatement on that.
Yeah,
And I think this was all just a guesstimate, that they just wanted to put something probably higher than
well, but
coming
that's
back
actually a low,
saying.
that's.
I think
That's
That's way
lower,
too
but
low.
yes, but I'm saying.
Kitchen.
I guess I was just
You know, I
question
mean-
too, is should it be a warrant or a separate, like,
Well,
it's
and the
not
question too is,
maintenance, really, it's.
where are they getting all the supplies? Are they going to, you know, Habitat for Humanity and buying somebody else's used kitchen and making do with that, or are we
It's my
going brand
understanding they
new?
would go with new stuff.
Really?
Yeah,
Yeah, Chris mentioned going more industrial
yes.
with the, I'm
I know
thinking,
with the appliances,
Yeah.
yes, but I mean, as far as the,
Which would mean
Yeah, that's
more
true.
expensive.
I'm thinking, what's that place on 125 in Plastow, Alternative?
yes,
They
yes,
have,
yeah,
that would be my first place to go to see what they have.
yeah.
Well, I mean, like with everything else, a contractor will probably, you know, price
We could be
that out.
bidding on the
Yeah.
job anyways for
Yeah.
what they're gonna
Right.
do and what their plan is.
But what's, so
I've been
they-
here 3 times this week, and that room's been busy all 3 nights that I've been
Really?
here. So
I think it's
I-
needed, I just don't think you
Yeah.
can do it for that price, and if it's gonna be more, like, should it really be estimated realistically and be a separate warrant or something?
But honestly, in all, well, and I, obviously, I don't come, I come down here, you know, for budget committee meetings, so I don't see what's going on out there. And I come here for Boy Scout meetings and stuff, but in all the years that I've been here, I mean, I've seen the kitchen used maybe 3 times.
It's getting a lot of use lately.
Girl
It
Scouts,
is.
Boy
I mean, they're using the
Scouts.
equipment, like the stove.
Well,
and
no,
the-
nobody uses that stuff, cause.
They use the space, I know that, but do they actually use the kitchen?
Our Girl
That's my
Scout troop
question.
used it for
The microwave.
making our soaps, actually,
Oh,
we
yeah.
used.
It doesn't
And,
work very well.
Oh, yeah, you guys did the
The
wider
stove doesn't work very well?
horizons.
No.
Okay.
And should it be replaced, I think you probably would see that it would get used more.
Yeah.
I think that's what Chris was saying, to really be able to rent it out, so to speak, more
Yeah.
often. Yeah, maybe a good question, would it be better to put it in a warrant?
Or at least get a
article,
realistic
or-
estimate before.
Yeah,
'Cause-
you can ask that.
Is that definitely on the mind of the selectmen of doing that project next year? That it's definitely getting done one way or the other? Well, I mean, not one way or the other. I didn't mean like that. It's a top priority, it's something that's gonna be taken care of.
Yes, that one.
Want to be taken care of.
That's the one that we would like to have taken care of, along with the bathroom over the recycling center.
Okay. Did you want to state your question?
Sure,
I didn't really have a question, it was more just a comment of, you know, I think, and look for the next round, looking at that as a more realistic number might make sense to do.
is line 128 an accurate amount? And/or should it be a warrant article instead of in the budget?
Gotcha. Okay.
Kinda surprised he doesn't go out and get 3 bids before he asks for the money.
Yeah,
That would make more sense. That way you
Yeah.
got more of a definitive number you're working with.
right.
Being a newbie on this, how do the bids work? Can any of you, like with the roof that was replaced or partially replaced?
It's my understanding they put it out, and they'll either contact a number of contractors, or they'll just put it out there on the web there,
See who
seeking.
There's,
Yeah.
yeah, there's boards that contractors can go to, where they can look for upcoming jobs, and then they'll, you know, and then they call in, they get the specs, and they figure out what they're gonna charge for it and so on. And then they, you know, they put their bids together and they submit them in, and then whoever's, you know, requesting the job, like the selectmen, and then pick and choose who they want.
Okay. Not always the lowest bid, but being
Yeah,
realistic.
you gotta take a lot of
you have
things
to
into
take.
consideration.
Well, yeah, their background, their reputation, and all that. I mean, you know, Obviously, we'd like to try and get it done as, as cheap as possible. Sometimes that's just not feasible depending on who the contractor is.
Right. Timing is,
That's
you know,
another-
Oh,
falls
yeah,
into place too, it's
availability, that's
availability
huge.
and everything else, so. um,
Everybody knows that 6K landscaping drainage is worked for around here, right?
The flagpole.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, and that was the one where I was saying that maybe that should be pushed off to, somebody's project.
So my other question is on line 157 for the cemeteries. I know I brought this up the other day. Where it says north fence 22K. That was a estimate that the town got to replace it, or is that I only asked that question because the 22K for the kitchen remodel, is the fencing 22K
Just another random
just another
number.
random number, or is that actually a number that we've contracted out and said, this is what it's gonna cost exactly?
I'm not sure if Chris was gonna get back to us, but I have my notes say trust fund ?
Right, that's what I have
So-
too.
Is it funded
But to answer
to?
your question, he based it upon, they did another cemetery last year, or this year. It was gonna be the same fencing, he said.
Oh,
But this one was bigger, I think. so
Yeah.
that's
Yeah,
why-
this one.
That's what I recall.
So, and my understanding is that the fencing is really just along the front, right? And it's only to delineate the edge of the burial plots from the road. So, wouldn't it make sense to put something that's like more permanent, like a bunch of granite blocks?
Well, then, now
Okay.
you're adding more cost. Granted, it's pretty expensive.
oh, yeah.
In the granite state?
Believe it or not, believe it or not, yeah.
With the ground, probably.
Yeah.
Oh,
But yeah, I
Don't cut it
didn't
for
say
free.
no. He was gonna look into a trust to see if there's a trust available trust funds available.
Well,
yeah,
from the little bit of exposure I've had with the cemetery trust funds and all that stuff, that's usually, I don't know if that would incorporate repairs of fences and all that. Usually that's for like taking care of the land inside the fence line. I could be wrong, but the little bit of work I've done on the private cemeteries out there this past year, that seems to be where the money would go, would be the ground that's inside the fence line, not the fence.
gotcha. Alright. So your question is this a bid versus
Right,
just an arbitrary number?
correct.
And if we could get an answer to that, that'd be great.
You know, cause if it's 18,000 instead of 22, that's four, I mean,
Yeah,
this day, everything's a,
Yeah, yeah.
a line item that should be, when coming into the budgets like this, on these big projects, and when we're lining up a budget, I think it's better off that we actually have, a real bid or a firm number that we can base this factor on instead of proposing it and then having our tax dollars being not spent, but we're paying for it anyways.
yeah, the other question I had on this page was, the line 149, community center heat, where our expenditures were just over 11,000, and then suddenly the budget for 18 was 20,000, almost doubled. Our expenditures are nowhere near that, and yet the budget for 2020, or 2019 is 20,000 again. So just trying to figure out where that calculation comes from and the reasoning behind it. So if we can get that question answered.
And I think Chris said they had just carried forward all of the 2018 budget numbers and didn't try to see it. Well, some of them went up.
Yeah, only 51% is in. I think it was something they were waiting for the final numbers on
Oh, that's
the
true.
second half.
Yeah.
Some of them did go change.
All right, well, we'll know more, as, like you said, I think that this whole section is refined at year end.
Yeah.
So, we'll know more in a couple of weeks. All right. Any other questions on page 4? On to page 5.
I have a question on line 172. Police Department's prosecution services. It looks in the past years, we've never spent the 15,000 total. So why are we going up $1,000 on it to 16,000 for proposed budget this year? Why won't we be keeping that at 15 if we only expended this year 12,000? Again, I see it's only at 83%, but that still wouldn't put us over 15. So why wouldn't we keep it at 15,000?
They show 15,000 expended in 2016. First column.
Oh, but, well, okay, sorry, 17, it's 11,700. This year, we're at 12,800. I just don't see why, I mean,
Yeah.
it's, you know,
Do you know how that
are we
works? Is
expecting
somebody
more
paid?
arrests?
Is that like a separate position or somebody paid,
Well, no,
contracted out to do that? Why is that a?
You know, is that for the fact of when we do arrest somebody or for something that we have the service?
Well, I guess it's based on, obviously, how many cases that they're gonna be prosecuting.
Right.
So if they've had a larger workload this year,
Is it like
That-
overtime or something?
well, it could be overtime. But I thought that would be under salary.
Right.
Isn't that paid out to county?
Yeah, I was gonna say, it must be an
Probably.
attorney would,
But if we're not using it all,
No, I mean, police prosecutors don't have to be attorneys.
oh, they don't have to have.
no.
That's, I'm wondering if we're paying another town to do our prosecution or something.
I think there are times where, there is a prosecutor from another town doing it. But again, I think that'd be more of a question for the chief
Yeah,
to answer.
Oh, yeah.
all right. So if we can get an answer to line 172, Police Department Prosecution Services, why the increase of $1,000 when we haven't met that expenditure of $15,000 that we've budgeted in the past, so. Here's that software licensing line again too, 179. Why isn't there $1 in that to hold the line open, or are they looking to?
This, yeah, this is new for department software, previously in blank.
Yeah,
Well,
It was someplace else.
Yeah.
that could be with the, I mean, they wanna get new computers for the cruisers, so I'm not sure if the software, if that line was created for that or not. Because they have to have, you know, Wi-Fi capabilities and all that other stuff in the cruisers, depending on where you are in this town. I think we all know that, sometimes service is very spotty depending on where you are in
Yeah.
town.
I'm guessing that was previously in the police department office equipment, 182. That's where other years may have expended out of. It's a guess.
yeah. All right, so question on line 179 is, what is that category for? And if it's going to be in the budget, should there not be a dollar amount assigned to it to keep the line item open? And is this a portion of the police department office equipment? Is that what you were asking?
Well, no, I'm just suspecting that they created a line for software that used to have been included in either the office equipment or the office, the equipment procurement maintenance.
Right.
Could have been either of those places. Or miscellaneous.
said there's only 2 full-time on staff, and the budget is for 3 positions. Is realistically the plan, is there somebody onboarding at this point for that 3rd full-time position?
I think the chief mentioned they just brought somebody on board, or did we lose somebody else and he's in the process of hiring that one? I'll have to double check. But
And there is an
Yeah.
ad on, like, for help wanted on the town website, I know. or
Well, there's the
last
part-time
week it
salary,
was.
the per diem coverage for nights and weekends, but the full-time salary, he said, was based on 3 full-time.
Yeah, so I guess realistically, if
Firefighters.
you only have 2, there's nobody onboarding now, you're probably gonna go at least a quarter without.
Right,
Well, and I think it's the same thing with the highway, when we get to the highway department.
yeah.
And I think, yeah, given the big budget increase for the part-time
Well,
that you're projecting too.
well, the reason, from my understanding of what the chief said is that, you know, they're having a difficult time retaining people, even on the part-time per diem side.
Salaries and stuff.
So, you know, trying to bump it up to, you know, make it more appealing or for these folks, could go a long way to help them meet their needs as far as coverage goes.
I think that part of the bump up for the part-time was to add more coverage. But I'm just wondering if you need, part of what they're
that was
covering
part
is
of
the
it.
fact that they're down 1 full-time.
That could be part of it.
Now, is the training budget, the jump in that so high because of the projected hire?
Oh, line 205, you mean?
Yeah, two.
Yes.
Yeah, I was looking at that too, and it looks like, well, they're only 43.9% expended, so we're missing a large chunk of change there that, or, you know, some bills.
And they didn't come close to 10,000 in 2016 or 2017 either for
Right.
training.
That's true.
Right. So, yeah, I questioned that too. I thought that line was definitely overfunded. It needs to be looked at.
Well, I mean, the only thing I could come up with, you know, I think you already mentioned it, that, the new hire, but, you know, maybe certifications are coming due?
That's possible, yeah. If we can just get some clarification on that, that would be good. Line 205 with regards to training and the apparent overfunding based on the numbers we're seeing here. Any other questions on page 5? Page 6.
I had a quick question on line 224, the building inspector salary, and 225, the building inspector part-time salary. Obviously, in 2016, we had Paul Colby, I believe, working here. And then and now we're having a part-time. Are we not looking for a full-time building inspector, or are we gonna keep that as always a part-time position now?
It's my understanding with the current building inspector, he only wanted to work just so many hours, and he seems to be doing a pretty good job with, you know, keeping up with the workload. At, you know, I don't think it's at 32 hours or something like that, or 28 to 32 hours, I think he works.
Okay.
But he seems to be doing pretty good in the time allotted to keep up.
Okay.
Good.
Now, that
Good.
could change. I mean, obviously, the
Yeah,
town's
no.
growing, so.
For line 227, the printing, the inspection tags, we didn't use any money in 2018, but we're adding the same amount for 2019. Does anybody know what the exact inspection tags are? Just again,
Doesn't look like they've billed anything to that line item. 0%.
yeah, and the last 2 years as well. I know it's only 200, but just curious of what it even does.
I'm not even gonna try to, yeah.
All right. So you want to word your question?
Shoreline 227, what exactly are inspection tags, and are we even using the money for that?
Yep.
So I have the same question in regards to the fire department, that I did with the fire department with line 253 for highway salary. It's been over a year now, we don't have that full-time position staffed. Is it realistic that they're going to hire in the next, hopefully?
12 days.
You want my honest opinion? I think we're gonna have a hard time filling it.
Yeah,
And I think a lot of that has to do with the pay. Not necessarily the pay, more so than the benefits in the retirement system. But Chris had done an analysis on, you know, going to the New Hampshire retirement system for that position, or the highway department, versus what we offer in the 457 plan. If I recall, he says it didn't seem it was gonna amount to much or even worth adding that. And to add that is a big expense to the budget, town, and so on. I think the town would have to contribute 11 or 12%, and the employee has to contribute 7 or 8%, something of that nature. So that would be a huge expense. And again, I believe he mentioned that he didn't see that would be, you know, beneficial. So, but we were talking about upping the salary on that, not much, just to see if we could try and get somebody.
do you know what Lee hired theirs for?
I wanna say it's up north of 80,000, but don't quote me on that, but I'm pretty sure that's where it's at. But don't forget, Lee is also in the retirement system. So, and Nottingham's not. Nottingham's one of the few towns in the area, you know, that isn't.
How many other positions are in that 253 line? The salary full-time?
Full-timers, well, we have, right now, obviously the vacant highway head, and then 3 below that. We just hired a laborer this past summer.
Since we last spoke, any news on line 257 with the hired equipment plowing? There was some proposals requested, and at that time, Chris said 0 responses. Has anything come in the last week?
As far as contractors for snow plowing, I mean, they have their contractors. They have a gentleman out there on with Tuckaway, and then my company helps out as well. But, I mean, they didn't really get any invoice,
Any bids?
any bids. I mean, we were hoping that the previous contractor from last year would come back, but he elected not to come back this year. For reasons I'd rather not say.
So is the expend on that line higher because we don't have the director of public works, so that would potentially go down?
Basically, for that, it's for contractors that plow these emergency lanes and private roads, and they also help out with plowing the school and the community centers and all that.
Cause we're budgeting, we have 2 years in a row now that we've spent over 60,000, over 65 probably by the end of the year, but you're.
Well, I
budgeting
think
49.
where we added another full-time employee over at the garage, and now we've added another truck
Okay.
as well. I think they're in the mindset that, you know, they won't need as much.
Does that line include when we ask or get help from Raymond or Deerfield as well? Do you know? I can't recall what I'm remembering, but that, I know we had like another town come in during one of the storms, maybe it was last year when we didn't have another truck.
I don't remember that.
It's always a,
Yeah.
personal contract, not another town or anything that money's going to.
That's my understanding. It's always been a private contract type.
Okay.
I mean, I don't wanna misspeak on that. I mean, that's something that we can ask Chris, but I'm pretty sure that that's for, but I mean, if a town came in and helped us, which I don't recall them ever doing, I mean, it probably would come out of the same account.
Oh, okay.
If it was snowing really hard, maybe they just kind of got lost.
When we're looking to hire the people to help with the plowing,
I'm sorry, what was your question?
when we're looking to hire the contractors for the plowing, do we specifically mention what they're plowing, or do we just say, you know,
Well,
or
I,
we say, do, you know, here, you can do this section of town, Revolutionary Lane, do all those private, you know, because they're in the Northwood area, and then use our town equipment in another section? Or are we specifically saying, this is where we need you to plow, and that's why
no,
we're not
when we,
getting
when we
those
put out
contracts?
the contracts or bids, you know, we say it's a mix of paved roads, dirt roads, parking lots and things of that nature.
So we're not specific,
We're not specific.
okay.
That's my understanding.
So they really don't, I mean, but there's gotta be like a certain, obviously, it's not the town, so you've gotta, what's a typical workload that you give a plow truck driver or somebody that comes in that's contracted like this to come in?
Depends on their
and it's-
efficiency.
True, gotcha. So they plow as much as they can during
Yes.
their allotted time?
Yes, and not to toot my own horn or anything like that, but I find myself, when I'm done with my route, I'm picking up others within town roads as well, so.
Do you have an assigned area? that
I
you
do have
go
assigned
into?
areas, and,
I think
fully-
fill
my assigned area is mostly the emergency lanes and private roads, but that's because I'm very familiar with those roads based on my years of, doing business with fellow residents on that road.
Gotcha. Yeah. How dire is the back truck?
The one that,
Needs to be repainted.
well, as I believe we mentioned this last time, if we want to try to, because we don't have a wash bay to get the salt or anything off these vehicles, and as you already know, salt is the worst thing for
Yep.
metal. So, it's already what, almost 10 years old, is it, I think?
Yeah, it's 2014.
All right, so 5 years old, 6 years old or so. This would be about the time you'd want to sandblast it if we don't have other means of, you know, getting the salt off the truck. And that would be a recommendation every 5 years. If we're gonna keep these trucks for 15, 20 years, that's something that should be done. You know, or down the road, maybe look at putting some sort of wash bay in to help preserve it.
Okay.
Any idea what the cost of a wash bay would be versus repainting?
I mean, that's something that we can look at.
Does it have to be a specific wash bay for this truck?
Well,
Because
you
of
want it
the-
to be large enough so equipment can get in there.
how do we wash our fire trucks? They're big.
They do it right in their base.
Huh.
And I don't think you're gonna want the chief chief doesn't want the town trucks in there for obvious reasons.
Yeah.
So he wants to keep it nice and clean in there. You're bringing a town truck, it's not so clean anymore. So, there's a lot of sand and salt and all that stuff that would,
Are there any special requirements that you know of with regards to building a wash bay? I mean, is it like obviously you were talking a ton of salty water, so you can't have runoff and so on and so forth.
You probably have to have a catch basin of some sort
Yeah.
to catch the runoff. And then ensuring that the building is large enough to house a vehicle or a loader or even a excavator.
Yeah.
You know, things of that nature. And obviously, the location up here is not feasible. It would have to be down at the pit. If that is something that, you know, the town wants to provide
Right.
down the road. But
Yeah, because we can't get the dump truck in the old fire building, could we? It's too big, never mind.
The old fire building, yeah.
no,
That's
no.
It's a building just sitting there, I don't know where to do it.
Well, they use that during storms. They'll put the smaller trucks in there. But I gotta be honest with you, that there's a lot of mold in there. That
Oh,
building
yeah.
should be taken
I'm saying
down.
it's not that clean, but it's
That's,
just,
that's just me.
Well, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
But the highway building across the street here is not big enough to house a truck and stuff?
Oh, yeah.
I've never looked inside, so I don't know what's
The one
inside.
by the river?
Yeah,
Or the
right.
one up on the hill?
Yeah,
No, the one right by the
The
river.
one that was replaced a few years ago, with the roof collapsing, that one?
yes.
yeah.
Yeah, that can house, you know, the larger trucks. Obviously, when you start putting the plows on there, it takes up more space, so basically the little ones are usually the ones that get
Left outside.
left outside. So they'll bring those over to the old firehouse. But, or left outside if there's no pending
Right.
snow or anything.
But it's not big enough for a wash bay.
I would not recommend putting a wash bay there because it's too close to the river.
Right.
Oh, yeah.
And they also have, everything's out in the open, even their office is in there. So you start putting a wash bay in there, now everything, their
Jeez, yeah.
tools and, you know, they don't even have computers yet, but, things of that nature would just get wet.
Right, okay. Any other questions on page 6? Page 7.
I have to just chuckle. I saw, I think the other one, the boot allowance that we're adding. I'm glad that they want to pay for them, but has this been like an ongoing issue on 267 for the uniforms? It showed up somewhere else, I think, and maybe the fire department as well.
Police, fire,
Yeah.
basically, I mean, you'd wanna have some type of service for if we provide them with the uniforms, it's pretty typical to provide some sort of uniform cleaning allowance as well.
And they just haven't done the boot allowances in the past, I guess.
I can't answer to that. It's my understanding that they have, and they've just pulled the money from other areas, but, now they have a separate line for it. And you think about what they're doing.
Oh, yeah, they need them.
Yeah, they definitely need it. And chances are they probably,
OSHA regulation too, right?
Oh,
To have
okay.
steel-toed boots and
Right.
so on and so forth.
and chances are they're probably going through more than one pair in a year.
Oh, yeah.
Actually, they do have 2 pieces of equipment at the transfer station, because it's they got the forklift that they use inside for picking up those boxes, those wooden bins.
Yeah, that thing is ancient, but it runs like a charm. I mean, it still goes.
How much is a storage container? And are we looking at getting multiple? I mean, how many tires do we have? I haven't even seen.
Well,
them.
right now they've got like over 100 tires, and the state requires it to be undercover.
Right,
You know, because standing water, especially with Triple E and all that stuff with the mosquitoes and stuff. So, a 40-footer, you know, brand new, is actually more than what they're asking, but
I was gonna say, cause I know, can't you get it, you can get those storage containers or whatever, the big metal ones like we use for the computers, well, you can get bigger ones than that.
Yeah.
I think they're like $3,000.
Used,
Used, yeah.
used, and then they're probably not as in good a shape as if you went new. So,
Why are we storing so many tires?
it's just a service that we provide to the residents, they pay for it. And then they ship it out, to be recycled.
Once it's full?
When it's full.
So where do the monies, so if they're paying for it, where does the money go that they're paying for the tires? Is that what the town then uses to pay to dispose of the tires?
That would be my understanding.
Well, it probably goes into the general same
Yes.
fund that we get for when all the cans that we recycle and the money we
Right.
make off that.
Yeah,
You know, or whatever we're making.
the metals and all that stuff.
Yeah, I mean, and I know some things we have to pay to get them taken out of there, so it's
Yeah,
not.
your solid waste like wood or
Yeah.
stuff like that, we have to pay, and obviously the trash.
Yeah. Do you know what the fee is for tires?
Is it a bucket tire?
A bucket tire?
It's cheap.
Don't quote me
Nothing,
on that,
yeah.
I thought she said it was,
Costs like $20 to, when you get your tires changed.
Yeah,
$10
yeah.
for a mattress.
Yeah.
I think it's
So-
$5 a tire though.
is
$5?
it?
Yeah.
I would hope that it would be a little more like that, just because.
Well, maybe it's the
you know,
light bulbs I was thinking, or something,
It's really equivalent to, I mean, what I would, equivalent if you wanted to take them there and dump them, then if you actually pay the place that's replacing your tires, the fees aren't too much. And I don't think
Right.
anybody wants to put 4 tires in their car and bring them there to save $1. It's just not worth it, but
Right.
for somebody doing there, it's, cost factor's pretty much.
Yeah.
I don't think it's that much of a savings, but
Alright.
I do know that, the, department head over there would like to see a reval done on all fees.
I think we should have a $10 fee if everybody pays every year to use the dump. But that was me,
Or just for the sticker.
just for the sticker. We used to have $1 for the life of your car, then it went to free. I
Yeah.
don't know how that was budgeted well, but
I mean, that doesn't even pay for the stickers that they give us.
Yeah.
no.
Tires
actually
are
costing money.
$5 a piece for a tire, $10 for a truck tire.
Okay.
You guys, yeah, there you go.
Yeah, that's enough too.
You know, but that's a lot if you had all the residents in the town, you know, for $10. I mean, it's really not for what we're allowed to, don't charge you to throw there.
No charge
Right.
for light bulbs.
You know, $10 is a lot cheaper when.
Is that?
No charge for light bulbs.
Yeah, and that's one of the driving forces.
Into
where she wants to
philosophical
have a
differences,
reval.
but
I know, right?
my,
Because there was a time where they did
my
charge for
philosophy
both.
is that if you make it difficult and expensive for people to dispose of things properly,
It ends up out in the woods.
they don't.
Well, it ends up out in the woods, and that was gonna be my next question, is, did you hear, I have never heard, was there any result from that, whoever it was that dumped like 8 TVs out in the woods? It was posted all over Facebook.
I don't remember what the
Peter
end
took
result
care
was.
of it, I think.
Huh?
Peter over at Jennis Farm, he actually took care, like brought everything.
He
and
picked them
sounds
up
like
and brought
paid
them, but he probably had to pay
paid
to
for it
dispose of
himself,
them and
yeah.
so on, but, so nobody was ever caught with regards to
No,
dumping all those
no,
TVs?
I don't recall, no. And then obviously there was some other stuff dumped on some of these roads that the town went and picked up, like a fish tank or something like that not long ago.
Yeah,
But,
But that's, yeah, that's just because people are just, I can't say it, but that's just because those people are that way. Most upstanding.
but to Michael's
most
point is,
upstanding
you
good
add
citizens.
another
Yeah, if
fee,
you
and then
add
they're gonna,
more
more
to
people
it.
are gonna do it, you know?
You know, and again, you're never gonna stop those people, even
Right.
with that fee. It's not gonna
Maybe more
increase
of
or
them.
decrease. I don't think you'll get more, because those people that do it, their moral compass of a person is not high anyways, so
Right.
a small fee is not going to change that person, or I think add other
Or
people's.
eliminating the fee is not gonna change
Yeah, I'd
their.
be willing to
Exactly.
pay, say even $5 per sticker would be, I
Yeah,
don't think anybody would really blink an eye at that.
especially when they know this money is going to.
They would.
They would,
ago.
I'm like $10
That's why it's
for
nothing.
the recycling center.
Well, and the other
but-
part of that whole thing, whole discussion is that by making the town recycle center difficult to access by fees or whatever, they elect to go with trash busters and
Oh, yeah,
stuff
then
doesn't get
we
recycled.
lose out on.
Because it's never open.
but, not sure if Chris brought this up, the changes in recycling right now, it's actually becoming more costly to recycle than,
Yeah.
we're not making
Right.
much money off of it.
But it's
So
still
going with
cheaper
a-
than putting it in the garbage, which is good. It's better than.
I guess it depends on how you look at it.
Yeah.
Well, but going back to what you were saying, I mean, a $5 fee or some sort of fee towards a dump sticker could actually probably offset some of that cost.
That's true.
Or
Something
make
to
it,
think about.
make it more cost effective to go with trash busters that
Well,
doesn't get recycled.
Well, you know.
well, to be honest with you, even Kyle's talking about, I'm sorry, should I even mention that name? But the owner there was even thinking about starting recycling, just because there's a demand for it.
Yeah, well,
Yes,
and
it
it's
used to be.
it's the right thing to do.
I still use them, but, trash buses, but I still go to the dump to recycle all my cans.
Yeah.
You know, and all my glassware and stuff
You're
like
one in
that.
100.
Yeah, but you know what, maybe there'll be more, I mean, you
No,
can.
I think
Yeah.
most people use trash busters, no, maybe not most, but a good number of us go to the dump with all the recycling.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I try to recycle the
My
stuff I can
Saturday
recycle, but I don't do it all.
It's the social hour.
And one more thing on just the storage container itself for tires, is it have to be a special container?
Just
because
waterproof
Yeah.
or whatever.
I hear in the news all the time, all the big containers that come over from China and stuff, that we have like a huge surplus. Would it be worth it to see if it's only $1,000 for one of them and?
Well,
Save.
it's-
You're not gonna
there's,
pay
you see them right on the side of 101 there at exit 3. That place sells them, and like I said, I mean, you can get a used one, it's pretty beat up, but you can get a used one as a storage unit for about $3 grand.
It is $3,000, okay, so
I
it's,
just
Pick up
burned,
from China, it's gonna be more expensive than the tariff.
the place on 101 also has new ones too, so, but you
Yes.
double the cost,
Yeah.
you know, when you wanna go new versus used. But the used ones aren't, I bought one and I'm not too happy with it.
if it's retires, I'm like, it doesn't have to be fancy, you're not turning it into an apartment
No,
or
but you wanna make
something.
sure it lasts too, I mean,
Doesn't have to be swimming pool grade.
you know, they're designed to last for decades, but, I mean, if you bought it and 5 years later, now the roof is rotting away because we bought
Yep.
it, you know, I mean.
Not worth it in
Right.
there.
That's where the blue tarp comes in.
Right. Go with the new one.
Alright. Alright, so that's page 7. Page 8. The charitable donations, that money's been set aside. What happens to that money at the end of the year? Does that just go into the general fund if nobody's requested it?
That's my understanding, yeah. Yeah. I can get a more definitive answer for you if you like.
Yeah, I'm just curious to see
Yeah.
where those monies go. I mean, I'm guessing it just goes into the general fund and, you know, set aside for.
Well, it says right here, it's all paid out by July 1st. All the
But
DPs.
the two lines at the bottom, the 323 and 324, we didn't put anything
It just
for
says
2018, actually, so,
no request received for those two.
Right.
yeah.
But there's nothing budgeted either.
Oh, yeah. Maybe we just,
But it looks like none of them have been, nobody's requested anything so far.
Oh, yeah, there's expense.
all right, for,
No, 2018 expenditures is,
Oh, I'm sorry,
Yeah,
I'm
that's-
looking at the
yeah.
wrong line. Yeah, okay, yeah. Sorry. All right, so scratch my question.
Here we go with the software licensing again.
How is the van paid for, is that in there somewhere? Oh, the equipment line, I guess, 337? Well, no, it's a computer. They had
Which line
a
item?
rental van or a leased van or something this summer
That's a good question.
for the older kids program.
Yeah, because they did lease another one, didn't they? Well, of course, the other one.
The fancy van.
One of them was in the shop for a while, or was that last year?
No, I think they had both.
They used both of them. I think one of them was in the shop.
One of them was definitely a lease or a rental. I don't see where that would be. Under rec programs, maybe?
Yeah, that'd be the only. So how we're supposed to do training. Equipment supply maintenance, no, that wouldn't.
Expense for 2018 was up, so maybe that's where it is.
Well, it's definitely worth asking.
They aren't tracking the differences in the rec department expenditures, or not expenditures, but budget, last year, this year. We're showing zeros in the different and budgeted amount.
For the advertising?
Nope, the advertisement is holding steady, but, oh, never mind. Excuse me for that. Nope, they got it all, never mind.
Any other questions, comments for page 8? Page 9. What is line 355? What is that CC mapping SRPC? Does anybody know what that is?
No.
Okay. We could explain line 355.
Stratford Regional Planning Commission is what SRPC is.
What's that?
Stratford Regional Planning Commission, SRPC.
Oh,
So they're contracting with Stratford Regional for those mapping services.
That would make sense.
and what's line 359, CC equipment? That jumps to $200. Not a big line item, but $60, $30. Now suddenly 200.
I know they use, I'm not sure what specific equipment they use, but I know they go through things like flagging when they're marking trail systems and trash bags when they're doing trail cleanup,
Yeah,
so. They do have some,
well, they have a different line item for trail development, line 357. And then Riverside Maintenance, they got their own line there too. So I don't know. Maybe it's walkie-talkies again, I don't know.
pretty cheap walkie-talkies.
Well, it would be like batteries or maintenance on them or something.
That could be.
Okay.
Are we going to have someone from Conservation Commission come in and talk to us?
We can. Would you like that?
We're not talking about a big budget, but
Nope.
if we needed those kinds of questions answered, they could, I'm sure.
Yeah. Alright.
Or we can ask somebody in the
I see a lot
town
of-
office to answer specific questions for us and be done with it.
Okay. I see a lot of downward adjustments, and it seems like the majority of this, uptick is the insurances and contractual salaries and things like that. Software,
It's a software.
all in software. Software and magazine subscriptions, no. And then that per diem night coverage, that was a big ticket item. All right, so a few questions there for us to look at. Anybody have any additional comments they want to add?
The only other thing, it wasn't print on the printout, but on the attachment that Dawn emailed us, there's a warrant article history tab. And again, for me being the first year, it was very informative. I don't know if anybody's had a chance to look at it,
I didn't see that.
maybe for future. She didn't print it out, so it's just on the
Okay.
Excel spreadsheet. But it does go back a couple years to show where the warrant articles were.
Yeah, it's always
Send
good
that
to,
out. When did she send that email?
That
For
one,
was gonna say,
the last meeting.
yeah,
Just before the last?
yes,
okay.
thank you. I'm not good with dates, but
I don't remember seeing it.
I was all excited. I had time to go through all the lines before the meeting, and then I saw the extra tabs. Only took a couple extra minutes, but
All right. So, having done town budget, Rosalind is not here, so we're gonna have to forego general school updates. Subcommittee reports, I take it CIP has yet to meet, so.
yeah, haven't gotten an email
And
yet.
that's the only subcommittee we have right now, right?
Because, yeah, transportation's not until spring.
Transportation's not in spring, and then
And-
nobody has been able to join the space committee for the school, right? Because they do that on.
Like 4 o'clock was the last one.
Yeah, I
That's
don't
when
think
the
they've
meeting
met
was.
since our last meeting, no.
No, I don't think they've met either, so, all right. So the last two items are the minutes. We have the minutes of November 29th to go through and approve. And if everybody has a chance to, you had a chance to read through those and.
She gave them at the last meeting.
Oh.
Yep.
Yeah, if you have your notes from last week.
Yeah, I got it.
Yeah, mine were just
The
what I
November
saw,
29th.
mainly grammar or punctuation. It wasn't really anything
Right.
to change.
All right. Regarding the minutes of November 29th, do we have any updates, changes, corrections? And I'll just try to take notes and then I'll hand it over to,
Some typos on
that's what I
line
found too.
12, include,
Included, yeah.
line 15 vacancies should be, I think
Yep.
vacancies.
Vacancies, yeah. And then on line 25, I think it should say, would it be annually funded
Yeah.
versus annual funded?
I'm not sure on line 30 if that really was supposed to be equipment batteries. I don't remember exactly what we talked about.
Oh, yeah.
Seemed odd to me.
Oh, he was talking about the replacement batteries.
Oh.
Yeah,
I did
replacement
that.
batteries
Okay.
for the walkie-talkies and stuff,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
Um,
And a silly question, in these notes, is she supposed to be using question marks when it starts, starting on 42 down to 44? Is this because of a one-time purchase, blah, blah, blah? Should that be a question mark and not a period, or is it standard just to punctuate with a period? A couple times she's asking a question but ends it in a period.
Well,
you
because
know.
it was, oh, I see,
And then down to,
I think it's just an explanation of, Mr. Moore asked why in many cases it appears the accounts have incrementally increased, and then in continuation to that original question, it was said, is this because of a one-time purchase and the account will return to zero in the following budget?
yeah, okay. And on line 71,
Yeah.
halfway, is it this forms that are a reason? I'm
Is it this,
quite put this
I think it should be-
together.
this form that is the reason?
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. I think I had a question on lines 52, 53, and 54. Chair had asked to verify the regular education new equipment account referencing a new shredder.
I think you're asking,
Is
is
a
it
new
a new
shredder or, yeah, is it a new shredder or the same shredder that was proposed, purchased in 2018? So is it a new shredder?
Yeah. I knew
I had put a
Scott
question
couldn't.
mark next to it, but I didn't know why. No, I think the only other thing that I caught or found was lines 106 and 107. Mr. Dabrio asked about the same amount being budgeted for replace other account in athletic budget. Mr. Rennig reported he would verify the reason, but I don't know what that means.
Yeah, he's gonna, because it was but the budget item was replace other. We were wondering what place other was.
Where was it going? Or-
Yeah,
Okay, so that is correct, though. It's just the way that, because she's using the line item titles, sometimes it's hard to know whether it's the line item
Yeah.
title or whether it was miswritten, so, okay. So that's fine.
Line 119, it might be my getting to know the terminology, but it says the staff with a list serve for questions. Does that,
yeah, listserv is like
Is-
that's a
email.
common, okay,
Yeah,
okay,
yeah.
thank you.
It's usually, that's a word, not two words.
Oh, okay. Oh, in line 121, it should be bringing, not brining, I think.
Line what, 121?
121, yep,
Oh, bringing in,
yeah, instead of brining is a cooking term, right?
All right. Any other changes?
I think 125, the word, I'm not sure the word interview should even be there. Very expensive. It's either supposed to be a different word or take it out.
Yeah, maybe we could probably assessments.
Assessments, yeah,
Yeah.
that's probably a better word.
So change interviews to assessments?
Yeah, that would make more sense. One 29, it should be not yet known.
Oh,
We should, not yet.
No.
The actual cost is not yet, known, yeah.
And on page 5, line 177, general discussion took place about surveys. It shouldn't be an apostrophe S. And then going down to 178, including how has changed. It should be it has changed, maybe?
Yep.
Everything else looks pretty good.
Line 185. The line there, are more student going to plural as a student?
More students.
That would be nice.
Oh, yeah. Aside from my bad eyesight, I think we should do this at the beginning of the meeting.
I know, but usually, so,
Usually we have
yeah,
to
if
vote
it's a
for
meeting
Yes,
like
you
this,
have to-
then it's fine, but when there's people,
Of course, yeah.
don't want them
You don't
sitting
wanna
around.
take their time.
so.
I like how she summed up our other questions at the end of it on page 7, and just a few of the loose ends.
It should be or is another shredder needed.
Oh, yeah.
All right. Any other changes? Do I have a motion to accept the minutes of November 29th as amended?
And I'll second it.
Thank you. December 6th, then it's,
Do we have to do all those in favor?
oh yeah, all those in favor. Thank you. All those in favor? Unanimous.
You're reading our minds already.
Line 16, I had seen surplus and why did the board decide? So the is missing and decided should be decide.
And then on 18, the amount.
Yeah, the amounts should be just amount.
Back on line 49, town has a new auditor for 2018. Have a lower cost,
Has a lower cost.
with a lower cost. Have just doesn't seem right there.
So it should be with,
Anybody recall how that was stated?
town has a new auditor for 2018, which has a lower cost for 2019 with a multi-year commitment.
Is that true? Does the,
I think that's what what he had said.
The auditor's line is reduced.
is it? I'm looking for it.
52?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah, and it was
Yeah.
something, we won't need it for a few more years or something, and that's why it was reduced.
Is it the auditors or the assessors?
What are you talking about?
I'm not sure. I'm looking
On
at
line
one.
52, right?
52?
On the budget?
On-
No, no, no.
I'm sorry,
Oh,
sorry,
in
on
the
the
budget.
budget itself, yep,
Yeah.
yep.
I'm looking
sorry.
at it
I'm sorry.
Auditors,
Yeah, that makes sense to have with on that.
so with a lower cost?
Yeah, okay. Yeah, I didn't write it down, but I think Chris mentioned because they were out in 2018, they won't be back until 2020 or
Mhm.
something.
That's the assessors, right?
Or the auditors.
Or
Line 61, it should say error instead of errors.
Yep.
I think line 70, it's not an actual 401k program, is it? It's like a 401k type of
457.
program.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
Line 70 in the minutes, it's not it's not a 401k program, it's a 401k type of program. It's
Right.
457. Yeah. wrong. Sort of.
It's for the employees that aren't eligible
Right.
for the regular program.
Well, it's everybody except for police and fire, I think.
Should it, 73, should it be planning board and zoning board? Or planning and zoning boards? Not planning board and zoning boards.
Yeah, get rid of the first board, maybe.
And replace that semicolon on 74 with a comma.
So here it says that the kitchen and the bathrooms are actual quotes, because it says preliminary quotes.
But they didn't do any formal bids.
Right.
So it's- Line 96, should we say are being considered about other needed renovations? I don't know.
The town was previously considering replacing the restaurant for the garage, but it is being put off as other needed renovations are being considered. Okay. So line 108, Tim, it says that the department currently has 3 full-time career firefighters.
But I wrote
I think
that it
I've written down that
wasn't.
they only had two though.
Yeah,
Hmm?
That's a,
he
I
had
think
said-
that's an error?
yeah.
He definitely said they were down one.
Yeah, only 2 currently, but they're basing it on the 3 of
The budgeting based on.
budgeting for, yeah.
Well, yeah, perhaps, when we adjust that, we should make it three full-time firefighter positions.
Oh, yeah, that would be a,
The department currently has 3 full-time career firefighter positions.
And typically has a hard time keeping the positions.
oh, yeah.
I didn't hear from Chris that they weren't intending to fill that third position. I remember him talking about the difficulty in.
Right.
Yeah.
keeping
It was
Yeah, I
on the
think they're-
website, though. I remember seeing they added like a help wanted within the last month of on the town website.
Yeah.
And we're planning on having, the fire department chief come out anyway, so we could verify all that with him.
I think the big reason that they want to have the third position filled is so that they have the coverage that they need
Okay.
to extend into evenings and weekends.
Line 118. Oh, look at that.
Maybe we can have it.
And you thought you snuck in.
Busted.
Line 123, I think we just delete expended, changes with. So it should just say expected changes to the per diem program.
Yeah.
Line 131, Dr. Shafa asked if there are methods, I'm missing it, are,
Or are there?
Word are.
No, yeah.
if,
Where are you looking at?
if there are methods.
Oh, if there are methods, okay. Line 156. I need some help. It says the town, at the end of it, it says the town is experiencing a shortage, and then in the area of large trucks to plow, would welcome someone, but no one has expressed interest.
I think what he was really saying was we don't have a heavy truck, and we tried to contract that out, but nobody is bidding on with a heavy truck.
So I think just in the area should be removed. The town is experiencing a shortage of large trucks being used to plow, which he was trying to say.
Oh, yeah.
So
I
remove
think
in the area.
that was geared more towards the contractor side.
Right, the
yes.
contractors.
Contract.
not
So if we
the-
replaced area with contract, in
A shortage of contractors, or of large
large contract,
contractors.
contract
Yeah.
trucks. Shortage of large contract trucks to plow.
So a shortage of what?
Large.
Shortage of large contract trucks.
Contracted.
Okay.
Are they a truck or are they a contractor?
And then what about the would welcome someone, but no one is
I think there's, of the
I would just take
people
would
that
welcome.
replied,
You could just take would welcome someone out and
just take would welcome someone completely out.
yeah, but no one has expressed interest.
That just changed but to and no one has expressed interest.
Yeah,
I'm sorry?
We'd just take out but and just put and instead if you're taking out would welcome
Oh,
someone.
Yeah.
yeah.
I don't like the way 160 sounds.
Which line? 160?
Yeah. Keeps, that's what I'm stuck on.
oh, as in, there's, the position's still open, or they're still trying to fill it?
And we'll continue trying. I just don't like the word keeps.
So change it to will continue?
Yeah.
Line 164, 165, sandblast when the truck's to increase its lifespan instead of years?
sure.
Yeah. I wouldn't say increase, probably extend the life on line 166. Sandblast and repainting should extend the life.
And remove use right in the beginning of 167.
Yeah, should extend the life,
Oh.
the lifespan.
Or
just-
again, span,
Or
yeah.
just, yeah, or just remove use. Or just remove use.
Just a quick, I'm sorry to go back, but on line 171, it says fuel for all departments is expected to increase. But if we go back to line 99, he says the expected, that heating expenses would fall for 2019.
That's,
I think
that's
that's- is that-
heating, that's
Heating
heating fuel versus
versus
gasoline or
Yes,
diesel.
oh, okay. It is different one, sorry.
Vehicle fuel for all departments is expected to increase.
Yeah.
That maybe, yeah, okay. Thank you.
Line 189, Mr. Sterndale reviewed the town continues to see changes. I'm guessing he meant town recycle center budget.
I'm sorry, line 182 you meant?
And,
I think it should say, Mrs. Sterndale stated,
Oh,
stated,
right?
Oh, yeah.
Mr.
stated works,
Sterndale
sure.
reviewed the town, stated the
Yeah.
town continues to see changes.
Then the next 191, the recycle center needs to find covered storage.
Yeah, I got rid of is in the need. Yeah. Needs.
For there instead of there, right? And it's,
I'm sorry, which line?
191.
Yeah,
Yep.
for their
The
tire.
recycle center is in the need to find covered storage for their tires. Huh?
It should say needs to, the recycle center needs to find covered
Yeah.
storage for their tires.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what happens when I'm rushing to get them to you.
And it should be for their tires,
Yep.
not of
Yeah.
their tires, right?
Yeah, when the meetings go till 9:30 at night.
You're saying we should meet every other week instead of every week?
I'm struggling right now a little bit, so.
I'm not 100% sure, but 197 should be, because sure the amounts are enough, not is enough. Just the grammar. Right.
So it should be are instead of is?
I think so.
Or the amount?
Yeah, either way. I guess because there's different
There's
lines, it should
multiple.
be, yeah, with an S for amounts.
You're right.
I'm reading it again.
Line 202, library trustees and are expected to remain mostly level funded. Says the library expenses are set by the library and are.
Except the library trustees and, or, yeah.
Line 2214, expected to remain steady, remove the,
Do those tests where your eyes just bounce over.
$224. Not sure what should be in place of implicating. Impact, maybe? There's a positive tax revenue impact.
impact,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, that sounds much better.
And 229, the will is, can be deleted. Should say could take a while and any type of agreement will
Yeah.
require.
I'm sorry, where?
229, the first will, so it says while and will. Just take out.
Oh, let's just do, it could take a while. And any type of agreement, so delete will.
And on line 230, aren't we within the 3 years? It just seems like, which is 3 years,
We're halfway through it.
or we're halfway, so I don't know
Yeah,
how to reword that,
we're
but,
not out of the weeds yet.
I've got a comma after years.
oh, okay, yeah. Not that many people read our minutes, but would they think, oh, it's 3 years from now? You know what I mean?
Line 226, there are 2 weeks remaining.
Yep.
And 242, repair in the middle of the line, should be repair instead of repairs.
And try to, repair some sinkholes.
Line 256, Chair Shabda,
Oh, it should be
maybe a chair
Dr.
of
Chow.
of some other committee, but
Well, it should,
doctor,
yeah, it should be Dr. Chapman.
consistent with other Uses of title.
Any other changes, edits? Do I have a motion to accept the minutes of December 26th as amended?
Motion that, please.
Okay,
I'll make that a motion to accept the December 6th.
all right. So, we just made that motion, so you're gonna second it?
Sure, why
All
not?
right.
That's corrected.
All in favor? All right. Thank you for getting that out of the way. And then any roundtable, comments, topics? No? Everybody's all good? I think the, where's my calendar? Our next meeting is December 20th. School budget second draft and the current financials. We'll have a good meeting there, and yeah. See you all next week. Do I have a motion to adjourn?
I make a motion to adjourn.
All right,
I'll second it.
second. All in favor? Thank
Did you
you.
want this back?